Gentlemen, let me be blunt. Have you ever thought that the very snack sitting in your kitchen, the one you grab without a second thought, could be the reason your erections have weakened after 50, or paradoxically, the key to bringing them back stronger than ever? We've been told for years that all nuts are healthy, but the truth is more uncomfortable. Some of them build you up, others quietly tear you down. In my 3 decades as a urologist, I've seen this pattern too many times to ignore. 5 nuts, 5 simple, ordinary foods can act like nature's performance fuel. They boost testosterone, keep your blood vessels supple, sharpen nerve signals, and restore the confidence most men think belongs only to their younger years. But 2 common nuts, the ones almost every man over 50 eats weekly, chip away at your hormones, stiffen your circulation, and drain your vitality slowly, silently, relentlessly. I'm Dr. Jonathan Prescott. For over 30 years, I've sat across from men in their 50s, 60s, even 70s, men who carried shame about their fading energy, men who thought intimacy was behind them, men who believed aging had already written their ending. And time after time, I've watched them stand taller, laugh louder, and feel like themselves again, simply by changing the foods they chose every day. So today we strip away the myths. We face the truth. I'll show you the 5 nuts every man over 50 should eat if he wants stronger erections, more stable energy, and healthier testosterone. And I'll warn you about the 2 nuts you must avoid because they may already be stealing your masculinity right now without you realizing it. Stay with me until the end because the last harmful nut I'll reveal is one most men eat every week. And if you're eating it, it may already be the reason you feel less like yourself. But before we dive in, I ask you this. If you care enough to protect your health, hit that subscribe button now, not for me but for yourself. Each week I share practical science designed to keep your testosterone strong and your performance alive. And I want you in this conversation. If what I share today resonates with you, type 1 in the comments. If it doesn't, type 0. I read every single response because this isn't a lecture, it's a dialogue. Now, let's start at the foundation. Why nuts matter so much for men over 50. Gentlemen, something begins to shift quietly when a man crosses 50. Energy that once felt endless now takes a little longer to summon. Recovery from a long day doesn't come as quickly. And those morning erections that once arrived like clockwork, they begin to show up later, fade faster, or sometimes disappear altogether. Most men shrug their shoulders and blame getting older. But here's the truth. Aging doesn't steal your vitality on its own. What really changes are 3 systems working together beneath the surface. Your blood vessels, your nerves, and your hormones. When even one falters, performance suffers. When all 3 decline, the results can feel devastating. This is where nuts, something as simple as a handful of food, become more than just snacks. They are, in fact, some of the most concentrated natural tools we have to fuel those very systems. Each nut carries a specific package of nutrients: healthy fats to soften arteries, amino acids to unlock blood flow, minerals to spark testosterone, and antioxidants to protect delicate nerves. Think of them as tiny vaults of medicine disguised as food waiting to be opened daily. I'll give you an example. Not long ago, a patient of mine, let's call him Harold, 62 years old, sat across from me, shoulders slumped. He said, "Doc, I don't feel like myself anymore. I'm tired, my drive is gone, and my wife thinks I'm avoiding her." Harold thought he needed another prescription, maybe even surgery. But after running tests, I saw his arteries were stiff, his testosterone was sliding, and his stress was eating him alive. Instead of reaching for pills, I gave him a prescription of a different kind. Add walnuts to your breakfast, almonds in the afternoon, pistachios 3 times a week, and a couple of Brazil nuts at night. Do this consistently. He laughed, "Nuts, that's it," but 3 months later he walked back into my office taller, brighter, and with a spark in his eye. "Doc," he said, "I feel like I turned back the clock 10 years. So why does this work? Let's break it down clearly. First, blood vessels. Erections are at their core a hydraulic event, blood filling chambers of tissue until firmness is achieved. If the arteries are stiff, narrowed, or inflamed, blood can't surge the way it should. Omega-3 fatty acids in walnuts, arginine in pistachios, and the vitamin E in almonds keep those vessels flexible and responsive, like a well-oiled engine. Without that, no pill in the world will make your body respond the way it once did. Second, nerves. These are the electrical wires of desire carrying signals from your brain to your most intimate areas. If they are dull, undernourished, or damaged by stress and inflammation, pleasure feels muted. Folate in hazelnuts, antioxidants in walnuts, and magnesium across several nuts sharpen those connections, restoring the spark. Third, hormones. Testosterone is the currency of male vitality. Without enough of it, energy wanes, desire fades, and confidence takes a hit. Zinc, selenium, and healthy fats found in these nuts give your body the building blocks to keep testosterone strong even into your 60s and 70s. I've seen men who believed their hormones were done suddenly feel their drive return, simply because their body was finally given the raw materials it needed. Now, here's the paradox. Something as small as your daily snack choice can either act like fuel for your masculinity or poison for it. That's why not all nuts are your allies. Some lift you up, others slowly grind you down, and most men never realize the difference until it's too late. Let me pause here and ask you something personal. Have you noticed your erections fading, your energy slipping, or your confidence softening since you turned 50? If you have, type yes in the comments. If not, type no. I want to hear from you because these aren't just abstract ideas. They're lived experiences, and the more we share, the stronger this community becomes. Gentlemen, food is not just about filling your stomach, it's about writing your future. Day by day, snack by snack, you are either rebuilding the systems that keep you vital or quietly dismantling them. Pills may cover symptoms, but nutrition builds foundations. And that's why nuts matter more than most men ever realize. Now that you understand the why, it's time to get specific. Let's look at the first of the 5 powerful nuts. On the outside, it looks ordinary, but inside, it holds the power to transform circulation and restore confidence from the inside out. And that nut, gentlemen, is the walnut. Gentlemen, when most people look at a walnut, they see a wrinkled shell that cracks open to reveal a snack. I see something very different. I see a crown jewel for men over 50. I call it the circulation king because when it comes to blood flow, vitality, and restoring the very foundation of your masculinity, walnuts stand above almost every other food. Here's why. Inside every walnut is a cocktail of nutrients tailor-made for a man's aging body. First, omega-3 fatty acids, those rare fats that keep your arteries soft, flexible, and open. Think of your arteries like garden hoses. Over time, if they stiffen, narrow, or fill with gunk, water struggles to flow. The same is true in your body. Without supple vessels, blood can't surge where you need it most. And for man, that surge is everything. Walnuts deliver omega-3s in abundance, polishing those inner walls, keeping them elastic, and ready to carry blood to the most delicate tissues of your body. But omega-3 is only the beginning. Walnuts are also loaded with arginine, an amino acid that your body converts into nitric oxide. And nitric oxide, let me be clear, is the master switch for erections. It's the molecule that whispers to your blood vessels, relax, open wide, let the blood in. Without enough nitric oxide, erections falter. They come weaker, they fade quicker, and they don't hold. But when arginine from walnuts feeds that nitric oxide pathway, firmness returns. Blood flows freely and confidence follows right behind. Add to this vitamin E and polyphenols, the antioxidants hidden inside every bite. They act like guards posted along your nerve endings. Why does this matter? Because erections are not just about hydraulics, they're about electricity. Nerve signals travel from your brain to your most intimate areas, carrying the spark of arousal, pleasure, and climax. When those nerves are undernourished, stressed, or damaged, sensitivity dulls. Desire feels muted. But when you give them antioxidants like those in walnuts, you keep the wires sharp. The message from your brain lands with clarity and the response is quick, strong, and satisfying. And there's one more layer, testosterone. The healthy fats in walnuts aren't just fuel for circulation. They are the raw material your body uses to manufacture hormones. Without enough of these good fats, testosterone production grinds down. With them, testosterone rises naturally, supporting desire, mood, muscle strength, and that unmistakable sense of manhood. Let me tell you about Frank, a 67-year-old retired mechanic who came to me last year. He shuffled into my office, frustrated. "Doc, I don't get it. I exercise, I watch my weight, but my erections are weak. My energy's down. My wife thinks I'm avoiding her." His blood work showed borderline low testosterone and early signs of arterial stiffness. I could have written a prescription, but instead I handed him a different assignment. "Frank," I said, "every day I want you to eat one handful of walnuts, sprinkle them on your oatmeal, mix them into your salad, or just eat them plain, one handful every day." He laughed at first. "That's it, nuts," but he agreed. 3 months later, Frank walked back into my office with a grin that said more than any lab test could. "Doc," he told me, "I feel alive again. My wife noticed before I did. I don't need to tell you what's happening in the bedroom." His testosterone had nudged higher, his cholesterol had dropped, and his vascular function had measurably improved. One handful of walnuts each day had done more for him than years of ignoring his diet. That's the power of the circulation king. Now, let me be practical here. How much should you eat? You don't need buckets of them. More is not better. The sweet spot is about a small handful, roughly 30 grams or 7-8 walnut halves per day. Enough to feed your arteries, your nerves, and your hormones without overwhelming your system. Sprinkle them over breakfast, toss them into yogurt, or keep a jar handy on your counter. Consistency, not quantity, is the secret. I want you to pause for a moment and think. What if something as small as a daily handful of walnuts could restore not just your circulation, but your confidence? What if the strength you thought was gone forever was simply waiting for the right fuel? If you've experienced this kind of change, if you felt your energy or intimacy improve after adding walnuts, drop a comment below and share it. You never know which man might read your words and feel hope again. Gentlemen, I've spent my career treating men in their 50s, 60s, and beyond. The lesson is always the same. You are not broken. Your body is waiting for the right support. Walnuts, humble as they may look, are one of nature's most powerful supports. And if walnuts are the king of circulation, then almonds are the quiet protector of your hormones. Because while walnuts open your blood vessels, almonds shield your testosterone from one of its greatest hidden enemies. And that's where we'll go next. Gentlemen, if walnuts are the king of circulation, then almonds are the silent guardian of your hormones. They don't shout for attention, but they quietly stand guard, protecting your testosterone and keeping your blood vessels young. For men over 50, almonds can mean the difference between watching your vitality slip away or giving it the shield it needs to stand firm. Let's start with the heart of the matter, vitamin E. Almonds are one of the richest natural sources of this fat-soluble antioxidant. Picture your arteries as smooth, flexible tubes carrying life-giving blood to every corner of your body. Over the years, oxidative stress, essentially rust inside the body, slowly eats away at those walls. They stiffen, narrow, and lose their shine. That rust is what leads to poor circulation, heart problems, and yes, weaker erections. Vitamin E in almonds acts like a polish for those inner surfaces, scrubbing away the rust, keeping them supple, and ensuring blood can surge when you need it most. For a man in his 50s or 60s, that protection is priceless. But almonds don't stop at the arteries. They wage war against one of testosterone's greatest enemies, cortisol. Cortisol is the stress hormone, and make no mistake, it is a thief. When cortisol rises, testosterone falls. Stress robs a man of his energy, his drive, even his intimacy. I've seen men dragged down not by their age, but by their stress, restless nights, constant worry, shoulders heavy with responsibility. And in their blood tests, the pattern is clear: high cortisol, low testosterone. This is where almonds shine. They are loaded with magnesium, a mineral that calms the nervous system and lowers cortisol. Magnesium gives your body permission to relax, to breathe. Stop fighting itself. And when cortisol falls, testosterone has space to rise again. It's like removing a boot from your chest and finally being able to breathe. I remember a patient of mine, George, 58 years old, who came in saying, "Doc, I feel wired and tired at the same time. I can't sleep well, I snap at my wife, and intimacy, forget it. I just don't feel it anymore." His labs showed moderately low testosterone and high cortisol. Instead of another pill, I gave him a simple challenge. Add a handful of raw almonds to your daily routine. Mid-morning, mid-afternoon, I don't care when, just make it consistent. 6 weeks later, George returned. He looked lighter, not just in his body, but in his face. He smiled. Doc, I don't know what kind of magic almonds have, but I'm calmer, I sleep deeper, and my wife, let's just say she's noticed the difference. His cortisol had dropped, his testosterone had risen, and his intimacy was back on track. One handful of almonds had tipped the scales back in his favor. Beyond stress and hormones, almonds also stabilize energy. Unlike sugary snacks that spike and crash your blood sugar, almonds provide steady fuel, the healthy fats. Protein and fiber slow digestion, releasing energy gradually. Men who snack on almonds tell me they feel more alert in the afternoon, less sluggish, and more present for their partners at night. It's not about more hours in the day, it's about better energy in the hours you already have. Now, how should you eat them? Keep it simple. A small handful, about 20 to 25 raw almonds a day, is enough. You don't need chocolate-covered, sugar-dusted, or heavily salted versions. Those undo the benefits. Raw or lightly roasted is best. Slip them into your pocket, your desk drawer, or keep a jar in the kitchen. It's the consistency that matters. And let me ask you this, have you noticed stress creeping into your life after 50? Do you feel like your patience is thinner, your energy stretched, your intimacy dulled? If that sounds familiar, type yes in the comments. If stress isn't a problem for you, type no. Either way, you'll help another man out there realize he's not alone. Gentlemen, almonds are not glamorous, they don't make headlines, but they're reliable. They shield your arteries from rust, they lower your stress, and they protect your testosterone like a loyal guard dog at your side. In a world where everything seems to chip away at a man's strength, almonds quietly help you hold the line. And while almonds stand as your protector, pistachios are something else entirely. They don't just defend, they perform. They've been called nature's erectile booster, and for good reason. Clinical studies have shown their power in ways that no other nut can match, and that's where we're headed next. Gentlemen, sometimes the smallest things carry the greatest power. Pistachios, those little green gems you crack open absent-mindedly at a party, might not look like much. But for men over 50, they are nothing short of extraordinary. In fact, I call pistachios nature's erectile booster. Let's break it down. Pistachios are among the richest natural sources of arginine, an amino acid your body transforms into nitric oxide. And if you've been following me, you know nitric oxide is the master switch for erections. It relaxes the smooth muscles inside your blood vessels, signaling them to open wide and let blood surge into the erectile tissue. Without nitric oxide, erections are weak, short, and unreliable. With it, firmness returns, blood flow improves, and confidence follows. Every time you crack open a pistachio, you're essentially fueling that nitric oxide pathway. But here's what makes pistachios different. The science backs them up. A clinical study published in 2011 took a group of men with erectile dysfunction and gave them pistachios daily for just 3 weeks. The results were remarkable. Their erectile function scores improved significantly. We're not talking about vague testimonials or word of mouth. We're talking about measurable, documented improvements in firmness, frequency, and satisfaction. 3 weeks. Gentlemen, that's how quickly the body can respond when you give it what it needs. I'll never forget a patient of mine named Samuel, 66 years old, who came in feeling embarrassed. "Doc," he said quietly, "I just don't feel like a man anymore. I can't stay firm, and my wife and I were drifting apart." He was healthy otherwise, but his erections had faltered. I told him, "Samuel, I want you to do one simple thing. Eat a handful of pistachios every afternoon, not salted to death, not covered in sugar, just plain pistachios." He raised an eyebrow, half skeptical, half hopeful. "That's it," I nodded. "That's it, give it a try." A month later, Samuel walked into my office with a grin I hadn't seen before. "Doc," he said, "you weren't kidding. I feel like myself again. My wife is smiling more, and so am I." His story mirrored the science. Pistachios had done in weeks what he thought would take years, or medication he wanted to avoid. Beyond erections, pistachios carry another hidden gift. They improve cholesterol. Specifically, they lower LDL cholesterol, the bad kind that clogs arteries like sludge in pipes. Imagine your blood vessels as plumbing in your home. Over time, debris builds up, flow slows, and eventually the pressure breaks something. That's what LDL does inside your body. Pistachios, with their antioxidants and plant sterols, sweep away that sludge, keeping your arteries clear and your blood moving freely. And when circulation improves everywhere, it improves down there too. So how do you bring pistachios into your life? Keep it simple. A handful a day, about 40 grams or 5 ounces is enough. That's roughly a small bowl. You can snack on them in the afternoon, sprinkle them on yogurt, or toss them into a salad. The key is consistency. Day after day, those little green gems build up their effect, supporting not only your bedroom performance but also your heart health, your energy, and your confidence. And here's something to think about. Pills promise quick fixes but often come with side effects. Pistachios offer a different path. They don't just cover symptoms. They strengthen your body at its foundation: arteries, nerves, hormones. That's why I tell my patients food is not just fuel, it's medicine. And pistachios are one of the finest examples of that truth. Let me pause here and ask you, gentlemen, have you ever tried adding pistachios to your diet regularly? If you've noticed a difference, share it in the comments. If you haven't tried yet, type "I will" and make today the day you commit. Because the only thing standing between you and better performance may be a bowl of pistachios sitting on your kitchen counter. Gentlemen, I've seen hundreds of men rediscover their spark through this simple food. It's not glamorous, it doesn't come in a prescription bottle, but it works. Pistachios truly earn the title nature's erectile booster. And while pistachios shine for their ability to restore circulation and performance, there is another nut that takes an entirely different route. It doesn't just support blood flow, it flips the hormonal switch itself. Just 1 or 2 pieces a day can transform your testosterone. And that, gentlemen, brings us to the Brazil nut, the testosterone trigger. Gentlemen, sometimes the smallest changes bring the biggest results. And when it comes to testosterone, the very hormone that fuels your desire, your drive, and your manhood, few foods can match the Brazil nut. It may look unremarkable, but I call it the testosterone trigger. Why? Because tucked inside each piece is one of the most concentrated natural sources of selenium you can find. Selenium is a trace mineral, but don't let the word trace fool you. Your body needs it desperately. Without selenium, your testosterone production slows, your sperm health falters, your prostate suffers, your energy and vitality slip away. With it, the switch flips. Testosterone rises, sperm quality improves, and your entire system begins to hum with strength again. Let me give you an example. A patient of mine, Robert, 71 years old, came to see me dragging his feet. "Doc," he said, "I'm tired all the time. I don't feel desire, I don't wake up ready anymore." His labs confirmed what his words suggested. His testosterone was low, his mood was flat, and his energy reserves were empty. Instead of immediately reaching for hormone replacement, I suggested something simple. "Robert, I want you to eat just 2 Brazil nuts every evening. Not a handful, not a bag, just 2. He chuckled. "That's it, that sounds too easy." I smiled. Sometimes the simplest tools are the most powerful. 6 weeks later, Robert returned with a spark in his eyes. "Doc," he said, "I don't know what those nuts did, but I feel different. I'm waking up with energy again. I feel desire I thought was gone. My wife told me I'm smiling in my sleep." His testosterone had risen naturally. His vitality had returned. The switch had flipped, all because his body finally had enough selenium to do its job. Here's the science. Selenium acts like a cofactor, a helper molecule that your body uses to produce testosterone efficiently. Without it, the machinery grinds down. With it, testosterone production runs smoothly. Selenium also plays a role in protecting your prostate, a gland that quietly determines much of your male health after 50. Strong selenium levels keep inflammation low, reduce oxidative stress, and support long-term prostate function. And let's not forget sperm health. Even if fatherhood is behind you, healthy sperm production reflects healthy testicular function. That means stronger hormone output, sharper vitality, and deeper confidence in your masculinity. But here's the catch: with Brazil nuts, moderation is everything. 1 or 2 nuts a day is all it takes to reach your daily selenium requirement. That's it. If you eat too many, selenium can build up in your body and cause harm, brittle nails, hair loss, even toxicity. This is one of those rare cases where less is more. A small dose consistently is the secret. I often tell my patients, don't think of Brazil nuts as snacks, think of them as natural supplements. Just 2 a day is like taking a perfectly dosed pill from nature herself. Slip them into your breakfast, eat them after dinner, or keep them in a small jar by your bed. What matters is consistency, not quantity. Now let me turn this question to you. Have you ever felt your energy crash, your desire fade, or your vitality slip after 50? If so, type yes in the comments. If you found ways to fight back, maybe you already eat Brazil nuts, type BN so other men know they're not alone. Gentlemen, testosterone is not just a number on a lab sheet. It is your spark, your edge, your confidence. And the Brazil nut, humble as it may look, holds one of the keys to keeping that spark alive. For men over 50, it is one of the simplest, safest, and most effective tools you can add to your routine. And while Brazil nuts flip the hormonal switch, there is another nut that plays a different role. It doesn't just boost hormones, it calms stress, protects your nerves, and balances your body in ways most men overlook. That nut is the hazelnut, and it may be the hidden ally your masculinity has been waiting for. Gentlemen, when most men hear the word hazelnuts, they think of chocolate spreads or sweet desserts, not a food that could quietly restore their vitality. But let me tell you, hazelnuts carry a secret power, one that makes them a hidden ally for men over 50. I call them the stress reliever because they don't just feed your body, they protect your nerves, calm your hormones, and bring balance back when life has slowly chipped it away. At the heart of hazelnuts lies folate, also known as vitamin B9. Why does that matter? Because your nerves are the electrical wiring of your arousal. They carry the spark from your brain to your most intimate areas and back again. When those wires are frayed, when the signals are weak, desire feels muted, climax feels dull, and pleasure loses its edge. Folate helps rebuild and strengthen those connections, keeping the lines of communication sharp and alive. For men who feel that intimacy has grown dim, folate is like turning the lights back on. But hazelnuts don't stop there. They're also rich in magnesium, a mineral that fights the silent enemy of testosterone, cortisol. Cortisol, the stress hormone, rises when you carry the burdens of life, family responsibilities, financial worries, the pressure of aging itself. And as cortisol rises, testosterone falls. I've seen this in hundreds of men who came to me saying, "Doc, I just don't feel like myself anymore." They weren't broken, they were stressed, and their hormones reflected it. Magnesium in hazelnuts lowers cortisol, calming your body and giving testosterone space to rise again. Think of it like lifting a heavy weight off your chest. Suddenly, you can breathe. Suddenly, your hormones find balance again, and with that balance comes energy, desire, and confidence. I remember speaking with a patient named Leonard, 63 years old. He told me, "Doc, I feel flat. I'm not excited about much in intimacy. It feels more like work than joy." He carried stress like a backpack he couldn't take off. I asked him about his diet, and not surprisingly, it was full of processed snacks and sugar. I suggested a small change. Swap your afternoon cookie for a handful of hazelnuts every day, nothing fancy, just hazelnuts. 2 months later, Leonard came back looking like a new man. He said, "I didn't think it would matter, but I feel calmer. I sleep better, and I'm actually enjoying intimacy again." His cortisol had dropped, his testosterone had improved, and his smile said the rest. Sometimes the smallest choices create the biggest shifts. Hazelnuts also bring another gift, healthy fats that reduce inflammation. Inflammation is like slow-burning fire inside your body, damaging arteries, nerves, and hormones. By calming that fire, hazelnuts keep your blood vessels smooth and your circulation strong. And here's a bonus, they're filling but not heavy. That means they help with weight control, and less belly fat means higher testosterone. Remember, excess belly fat is one of testosterone's worst enemies. By keeping weight in check, hazelnuts quietly protect your hormones long-term. So how should you use them? A small handful, around 25 grams or 15-20 hazelnuts is enough. Eat them raw, lightly roasted, or sprinkled on your breakfast. The key is not quantity but consistency. Every handful is a signal to your body. Stay calm, stay balanced, stay strong. Now let me ask you directly, have you noticed stress weighing heavier on you since turning 50? Has it dulled your energy, your mood, or your intimacy? If yes, type stress in the comments. If not, type calm. Sharing your truth might help another man realize he's not alone in this fight. Gentlemen, hazelnuts may not have the fame of walnuts or the reputation of almonds, but they carry a quiet power. They strengthen your nerves, calm your stress, lower your inflammation, and help you reclaim the feeling of being fully alive. For the man who wants not just strength but balance, hazelnuts are a gift you shouldn't overlook. But here's the hard truth, not all nuts are your friends. Two common ones, the very snacks most men reach for daily, are quietly sabotaging your testosterone and weakening your erections with every handful. And that's exactly what we need to uncover next. Gentlemen, up until now we've been talking about allies, the 5 nuts that build you up, fuel your circulation, protect your nerves, and restore your hormones. But now it's time to face a harder truth. Not every nut is your friend. Two of the most common ones, the ones you'll find in every supermarket, in every bar snack, and in half the kitchens I walk into, are quietly working against you. You think you're making a healthy choice, but in reality, you're feeding the very enemies that drain your testosterone and weaken your manhood. The first offender, peanuts, and here's the catch: peanuts aren't even real nuts. They are legumes more closely related to beans than walnuts or almonds, and while they're popular, cheap, and convenient, they carry hidden dangers. One of the biggest, aflatoxins. These are mold toxins that often contaminate peanuts during storage. Your liver has to fight to break them down, and when your liver is under stress, your hormones fall out of balance. Testosterone dips, energy fades. Peanuts are also loaded with omega-6 fatty acids. A little omega-6 is fine, but most men's diets are already drowning in it. The imbalance triggers inflammation throughout your body. And inflammation, make no mistake, is one of the fastest ways to sabotage your arteries. It stiffens blood vessels, slows circulation, and irritates the prostate. For a man over 50 who already battles natural changes in blood flow, that inflammation is like pouring sand into an engine. Things seize up quickly. I had a patient named Martin, 59 years old, who swore by his daily peanut butter sandwiches. He thought he was being smart, protein-rich, low-cost, filling. But he came to me complaining of low energy, weaker erections, and constant bloating. His blood work showed inflammation markers through the roof. When I suggested he cut back on peanuts and swap them for almonds and walnuts, he raised an eyebrow. 3 months later, he came back slimmer, stronger, and far more confident. "Doc," he said, "I thought peanut butter was helping me. Turns out it was choking me." The second culprit, cashews. Now I'll admit cashews taste wonderful, creamy, rich, addictive, but they come with a price. Cashews contain phytic acid, a compound that binds to essential minerals like zinc and magnesium and makes them harder for your body to absorb. And without zinc, testosterone production sputters. Without magnesium, your circulation falters. It's like trying to build a house without nails or wood. You simply don't have the materials. Cashews also contain more carbohydrates than most nuts. That means they raise blood sugar and insulin. And here's what many men don't realize: chronically high insulin suppresses testosterone. It also encourages belly fat, one of the greatest enemies of male performance. I've seen men who ate cashews daily gain stubborn weight around the midsection, feel their drive slip, and wonder why their hormones had abandoned them. In truth, it wasn't age. It was diet. Now, let me be fair. Eating peanuts or cashews occasionally isn't going to ruin your health. Having a handful at a party or a scoop on a road trip won't undo years of progress. The danger is when they become daily habits, when you think you're making a smart, healthy choice, but you're actually chipping away at your foundation bit by bit. That's when the damage accumulates silently, relentlessly, until one day you wake up with lower testosterone, weaker erections, and a body that feels heavier than your age. So what's the solution? Simple. Avoid making peanuts and cashews your go-to snacks. Replace them with the 5 allies we've already discussed: walnuts, almonds, pistachios, Brazil nuts, and hazelnuts. You'll feel the difference not in a decade, but often within weeks. Clearer energy, sharper desire, firmer performance. Let me pause here and ask you, are peanuts or cashews part of your daily diet right now? If yes, type guilty in the comments. If no, type safe. Be honest, because admitting it is the first step toward change. And remember, you're not alone. Thousands of men out there are struggling with the same habits. Gentlemen, I've spent my career telling men the truth, even when it stings. This is one of those moments. The snacks you thought were harmless, maybe even healthy, may be quietly stealing your manhood. But here's the good news: by simply swapping them out, by choosing better allies, you can take back control. And that brings us to the final step of this journey. We've seen the 5 kings that build you up. We've faced the 2 saboteurs that tear you down. Now it's time to put it all together, to draw the line in the sand and give you a clear, lasting prescription for restoring your vitality after 50. Gentlemen, we've walked a full circle together. We began with a simple truth: what you eat every day has the power to either restore your masculinity or erode it silently. Along the way, we uncovered 5 powerful allies and 2 hidden saboteurs, and now it's time to tie it all together. Let's be clear. The 5 nuts you should keep by your side are walnuts, almonds, pistachios, Brazil nuts, and hazelnuts. Each one serves a role: walnuts as the king of circulation, almonds as the protector of your hormones, pistachios as nature's erectile booster, Brazil nuts as the testosterone trigger, and hazelnuts as the stress reliever. Together, they nourish your arteries, sharpen your nerves, and keep your testosterone alive. They are not just snacks, they are small daily investments in your strength, your confidence, and your vitality. On the other hand, two common choices, peanuts and cashews, are not your friends. Peanuts, with their aflatoxins and omega-6 overload, stress your liver, inflame your arteries, and disrupt your hormones. Cashews, with their phytic acid, excess carbs, and insulin spikes, quietly suppress testosterone and encourage belly fat. Occasional indulgence, fine, but daily habits, dangerous. The line is that clear. So where does that leave you? It leaves you in control. Every handful, every choice. Every day after 50 either builds the man you want to be or chips away at him. This is not about perfection, it's about direction. If you reach for the 5 allies more often and avoid the 2 saboteurs, you're stacking the odds in your favor. And over time, the changes will show in your energy, in your intimacy, in your confidence. I've seen it too many times to doubt it. Men in their late 50s, 60s, even 70s walking into my office convinced their best years were gone, only to walk back months later taller, prouder, smiling whiter. Why? Because they took back control of their daily choices. Gentlemen, aging does not have to be a slow surrender. It can be a new chapter of strength if you give your body the tools it's been missing. Let me ask you directly, are you ready to choose wisely? Are you ready to swap the foods that drain you for the ones that build you? If so, type yes in the comments. If you're skeptical, type not sure. I read every response because your voice matters. This isn't just my lecture, it's our conversation. And here's my call to action. If this message resonates with you, don't just nod and move on. Hit that like button, share this video with a friend, a brother, a father who might need to hear it. Subscribe so you never miss another conversation that could change the way you age. Every action you take here strengthens not just you, but the entire community of men determined to stay strong after 50. Gentlemen, let me leave you with this final truth. Life after 50 is not the end of your vitality, it is the test of it. You are not broken, you are not finished. You are a man with choices still in his hands. Choose the 5 nuts that fuel you, leave behind the 2 that betray you, and step forward into the next decade with the confidence of knowing you still hold the key to your strength. Because age is inevitable, decline is optional, and the man you are after 50 is the man you decide to be.